So what is mean by framework? Why we need to talk about the framework? There are so many ways to represent the automation development or automation scripting, but why we are using the word called framework? What is the importance of framework? How the framework will be categorized into different types is the concept today. A thing or a script or individual script which can be formed in a closed loop. Simple thing we can say, suppose you have hundreds of scripts, you have 100 scripts in your system where you are trying to automate all the 100 scripts at the same time. But when you are trying to automate all the 100 scripts at the same time without using framework concept, how you need to execute means you have to open one script and you have to execute that script. Second script, execute. Third script, execute. Means you need to execute the scripts for 100 times where it doesn't depends upon any other scripts. Simple thing we can say, in general we can say normal script execution will be happen based on the current script what you have been opened. That's it. 100 times 100 scripts are there, you need to click on execute button for 100 times. But coming to framework, the execution will be controlled by the automation developer only. The execution will be controlled by the automation developer only. Suppose I have 100 scripts. I want to execute all 100 scripts at the same time or parallelly. How can I execute? By using the concept of framework means I'll integrate all the class files in one frame, and once I click on execute button, all the scripts will be executed. Suppose I have 100 scripts, I want to execute only 10 or 15 scripts. I can execute only the selective test cases also or test scripts also. That is the concept related to framework. Let us go in detail so that you'll understand what is the meaning of actual framework and how it will be. Types of framework. And here we discussed about what is meant by framework, and now why we need to use framework.
For convenience of executing the scripts.
One point. Any other?
Or effective way of executing the scripts.
Both are same, I think so.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Here, the framework will be used because of so many reasons. Why we need to use framework means there are so many reasons to use this framework. So all these reasons combine to form the definition of framework. Let us see what are all those reasons. One is data-driven tests. Second thing is scriptless representation.
What does it mean?
I'll explain each and everything. Detailed reporting, consistency. We can say this as an encapsulation. Encapsulation, reusability. So what is this data-driven tests? First one, data-driven tests are nothing but, suppose I have a login page. So I want to log into the application with my username and password, and I want to check whether my username is working 100% working fine or not. So what I can do here means I'll open the application and I'll enter my username and password, and I click on login button, and I'll check whether it is whether I'm able to log into the application or not through the manual process. That is fine, done. Suppose if I have 100 usernames and passwords, is it possible to complete that particular login to the application and log out from the application within 1 minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes of time? Is it possible? Means no, it won't possible. That is the reason, in order to create the in order to complete the task within the expected time or approximately equal to the expected time, we have the concept of automation development. In this automation development, By passing all the 100 usernames and passwords to that particular automation script, it is possible to execute, or it is possible to test the complete 100 usernames and passwords are completely working fine or not within 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Data driven test is simply, we can say, it is nothing but parameterization. Parameterization. Here, passing the multiple sets of data to the automation scripts is nothing but parameterization. It should be an external source. Passing the multiple sets of data from the external source to the automation script is nothing but data driven test or data driven framework. We will have this concept in detail, no need to worry. But next thing, scriptless representation, which is nothing but the concept of encapsulation. And what is the meaning of encapsulation here? The encapsulation is nothing but hiding the programs and representing the functionality what we have in our system, which is nothing but the concept of encapsulation. The same thing will be applicable for the definition of framework, scriptless representation. As I said, if you have hundreds or thousands of scripts in your system regarding the functionality of the application or in the project, if you want to execute all the 100 or 500 or 1000 scripts at the same time, it is possible only with the concept of framework. But you can't open first script execute, second script execute, third script execute, like that. You can't open every script and click on execute button at that point of time, even though you are using framework. That is the reason you are going to configure all the 100 class file names in one class file, and when you click on execute button, automatically all the class files will be executed from that particular class file. Here you are not opening the script, you are not representing the script, just you are using the script name and you are including that particular name in one class file and click on execute button. That is the reason you are not representing the script, just you are executing the script, which is nothing but the concept of scriptless representation. We have this concept also in our script designing and executing part. We will see this one. Detailed reporting. Detailed reporting means if you are using framework concept, the system will generate a detailed report when you are executing the scripts. Suppose at what time the script execution has been started, at what time it has been ended, what are all the records that has been inserted, at what time the script is being failed, in which line of your program the script is being failed. Everything will be generated in the format of report when you are using framework. But in normal scripting, the detailed report will not be there, only report will be there, only report will be generated, but it's all about the basic high level summary of that particular execution. So that is the reason detailed reporting is nothing but the concept of everything will be displayed when after the script execution completed. After the script execution completed, this will be possible only when you are using the concept of framework. Second, next thing, consistency. What is mean by consistency here? Anyone? Consistency is nothing but, suppose if you are working in a real time in as an automation developer, your team will have 10 to 12 members. Let's say for example your team is having 10 members. In your team, 10 members are working for this automating this project development, right? If your team is working with 10 different functionalities, everyone should maintain consistency in the script designing process. Everyone should maintain consistency in the script designing process. If someone will fail this consistency format of designing the script will not get executed. So who will know that this particular script has been executed? It is highly impossible to find out that one, but this framework will identify if the framework is not having any consistency. So consistency is nothing but it's all about how the team members or how other people involved in this project, or how you are maintaining consistency in designing the scripts, and all those things will be under the concept of consistency. Reusability. Suppose you design the script, how many times you can reuse the script is nothing but the concept of reusability. Suppose today you got the build, you performed regression testing activities, that has been done. Tomorrow tomorrow you got the same build again, so no need to redesign the script. The existing scripts can be reused at the same time. Means reusability is the concept where you can reuse the scripts again and again and again by using the concept of framework. All these points together, we can say the definition of framework. Next thing, types of framework. How many types of frameworks are there? How many types of frameworks are there? Generally we have 5 types of frameworks. Generally we have 5 types of frameworks. Those are module driven framework, behavior driven framework. Let us list down all those things. First one, architecture based framework. Second one, module based framework. Third one, data driven framework. Fourth one, keyword driven framework. Fifth one, behavior driven framework. Behavior driven framework. So apart from this, we have we can say one more framework, which is nothing but the sixth one, hybrid framework.
Shiva, the
So
third one is data driver or data
sorry,
driven?
one data driven, yeah, data driven. It's a typo mistake. Yeah. So it's a data driven framework. First one is architecture based framework. Second one is module based framework, data driven framework, keyword driven framework, behavior driven framework, hybrid framework. Hybrid framework. Let us discuss about architecture based framework. Architecture based framework is nothing but how the architecture is going to be created in order to design this particular scripts, or in order to design the scripts, or in order to design the architecture of that particular project. So how the architecture is going to be designed. Suppose, let's say for example, you have a Gmail application. After you log into Gmail application, you are going to see, let me write it here. So Gmail application, after login to application, you are going to see inbox, sent items, drafts, trash, like that. So many modules you are going to see. To perform any action in all these 4 modules, what is the common thing? Means login is the common thing. Login is the common thing. Once your action has been completed, then the final action would be logout is the final action for you. Means you are creating an architecture stating that login should be only once, and you can perform all the tasks at the same time and then log out from the application, even though the login or the logout is only the single action. Means you are designing some architecture in order to designing the script. You are creating some architecture in order to design the script. I think you all heard about the word called database architecture. Means what is that? Means you are creating some architecture in order to save the data, or insert the data, or update the data, or something you are trying to perform. So that is the reason architecture based framework is nothing but creating an architecture in order to design the script. We don't have any specific tools for architecture based framework. It's all about the user defined script designing process. So we don't have any specific tools for this. Next thing, module based framework. Module based framework is nothing but dividing the application into different modules and designing the automation scripts is nothing but module based framework. Suppose your application is having 4 modules. You are dividing the application into 4 modules in order to design the script, or else a functionality is there. Single functionality has been divided into multiple modules. All the modules integrated into a single unit and combined to form one functionality, which is nothing but module based framework. Data driven framework, we discussed about this one already, which is nothing but the concept of parameterization. Passing the data from the external source file to the automation script is nothing but data driven framework, which is nothing but the concept of parameterization. Keyword
Uh,
driven framework.
Sorry, Shiva. Could you
Yep.
please repeat the module-based framework once?
Yep.
Yes.
So a
Second.
functionality has been divided into multiple modules. Means first module has been designed by someone, second module has been designed by some other second team member, third module has been designed by third team member, like that. Suppose if there are 10 modules, 10 team members design their own scripts for those 10 modules. At last, once everything has been done, we are going to integrate all the modules into a single functionality or single module, which is nothing but module based framework. We
Okay.
don't have any tools for this module based framework or architecture based framework or data driven or keyword driven, but we have tools for some other thing. I'll let you know about that. Next thing, data driven is nothing but, I think you understood, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Data driven is nothing but passing the information or the data from the external source file. It may be Excel file or text file or CSV or database file or anything. You are passing some data to your automation script from external source is nothing but the concept of data driven framework or parameterization. Keyword driven framework, the script designed by using the keywords of an application or keywords of a program is nothing but keyword driven framework. Simply, the simple example we can say is whatever the normal scripts we have designed last in the last session, those are nothing but keywords. Those are all right keywords, right? Driver dot find element, keyword. Send keys, keyword. Like that, designing the script by using the concept of keyword is nothing but keyword driven framework. Keyword driven framework, the combination of data driven and keyword driven is known as hybrid framework. Data driven plus keyword driven is nothing but the concept of hybrid framework. The examples for hybrid framework are test ng. Ng means next generation. Apart from this, we have JUnit and NUnit. Like that, we have different frameworks. So initially, this JUnit is for Java programmers, and NUnit is for Visual Studio programmers. Or we can say simply JUnit and NUnit are only for the development activities. It will not support for the testing activities. Testing activities means what? Generating the report, executing the scripts, after that generating the report, detailed report, all these things are nothing but testing activities. For those testing activities, JUnit and NUnit is not supportive. That is the reason, due to this drawback in this particular framework, TestNG framework came into existence, which supports both development and testing activities. So currently we are using hybrid framework as a testing framework only. Okay, apart from this, we have so many frameworks like POM, page object model, data object model. So Are those only these type of frameworks that we have in the market? Means no, we have lot of frameworks like Jasmine, Karma, Sikuli, different types of frameworks are there. Next thing,
You mean to say only these are the basic frameworks used for Selenium? Hello?
hello, yeah, I didn't get your question. What is that?
Yeah, yeah. These whatever the six frameworks you have mentioned here, these are the
Okay,
most popularly used frameworks for Selenium.
those are the types of framework. Not everyone is using all the frameworks. We can use either TestNG framework or we can use behavior driven framework. It's all about the dependency from the client. We can't use all the frameworks in a single project.
Okay,
So it's all about, again, it's all about your architecture. If you are following the architecture based framework, means in that architecture you are going to, if you are using module based, means in the module you are not, you may have architecture or you may not have, remember but remember that if you are following some framework, means you are going to depend upon that framework only. You are not even uh, eligible to have all the frameworks in a single script or single project.
okay. Well,
Suppose
I
if
mean,
you take hybrid framework, or behavior, either you have to go with behavior or hybrid, that's it.
okay. When we will take the decision based on the project need or
Based on the project need, one thing. Second thing is it's all about customer requirement.
okay,
I hope I discussed about the concept of automation test automation process, right? In that, test initiation, tool selection,
yeah, yeah,
how the tool is going to be selected, how the
yes,
framework is going to be selected. So we'll have in the next session, we'll have a flow chart. Maybe
okay,
tomorrow or day after tomorrow session, we have a flow chart, how the process is going to be followed from the initial stage to script designing and execution stage. We'll discuss about in detail about how the framework will be selected, on what basis, on what factors that we need to consider. All those
okay.
things we will discuss. But
Thank you.
as part of our real time experience, every project will not have all the frameworks at the same time. Any one framework will be selected, and that framework will be carried out throughout the project development, automation script development.
Okay,
Next thing, behavior driven framework. Behavior driven framework is nothing but how the application behaves. It will talk about how the application is behaving. Suppose login screen is there, you have username and password and login button. So what is the purpose of username field? You have to enter username and it has to capture the username. You have to enter password and that has to capture the password. You have to click on login button and the button should be clicked. Like that, it's all about the behavior of the application what you are dealing with, which is nothing but the concept of behavior driven development or behavior driven framework. Behavior of the application is nothing but the concept of behavior driven framework. In the market, for under this behavior driven development framework, we have so many tools or so many frameworks. Example, Cucumber, JBehave, Specflow, etc. Like this, we have different frameworks in the market. For these frameworks, behavior driven development frameworks, programming knowledge, in-depth programming knowledge is not required. Just simple English language is required in order to design the script, where that English language we are saying, we are that English language is known as jerkin. Jerkin is the language we are using in behavior driven development framework. Behavior driven development framework. And for our reference, as part of this training, we are going to cover TestNG as well as Cucumber. TestNG as well as Cucumber. The base for this framework is our normal scripting part, where we have discussed in the last session. So that particular normal scripting is very helpful in order to design the scripts in TestNG or in the Cucumber. We will see all this configuration part and script designing part and in detail conceptual part in the next session. But before going to the next session, these are the concepts which are very important in order to discuss, in order to have some words on framework. One thing here is annotations. Annotations, script design and execution analysis. Execution analysis. These two concepts are very important. Remember that next session I am going to start with the concept of annotations, where without annotations you are not allowed to design the script part. You are not allowed to designing the script part. So that is the reason annotations are very important.